It's funny you bring the mom thing up. She said at one point to me, she's like, man, I don't understand how you can just wake up and you just go 200 miles an hour. Like, I don't get how you can wake up and just go right to that. I'm like, I don't know. It's just second nature for us, you know. It's funny. You can't really describe it to another person, honestly.
Well, right, because, and I say this, you know, I'm a mom now, and I think my son really seems like he's very interested in racing. Part of me says, okay, so at what age, I wonder, does that manifest itself into him actually wanting to try it, or is that a phase and he's going to try to go do soccer, right? But I'm sure, like, for parents, even though, you know, you guys have experience with your families being involved in it, it's scary, right? It is what it is, a little bit. No?
I'd say so. My mother, she won't watch a race. She'll put her head in her laps if she's in the stands, and yeah, she's not really good with it. Even though she's been around it,
yeah,
she won't watch.
But that's interesting because you said she would take you to watch your dad, so she could watch your dad, but when it's her...
Yeah, I'm her baby, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
wow. So how does she do it then?
I'm the youngest of three, so I'm like her youngest child.
Are you the only one that races?
Yes, okay. I am. Yep, but how does she do it? I don't know.
What is she? Sure. She doesn't go to the race, or you said she goes?
No, she'll go. She doesn't go to all of them, but when she does, from what I hear from my wife, and you know, she's kind of tucked down in, and you know, she can't really watch if it's a stressful situation. But I always tell her, Mom, don't worry, I have control. It's okay.
Right.
Be all right.
I check my air pressure.
Yeah. Check my air pressure. We're all good. Don't worry. Yep.
That's funny.
Christopher, how about you? Family?
I don't know. My parents don't get to go to very many races.
Okay.
They've been, you know, a part of my racing career forever. But you know, I don't know if my mom puts her head down in her lap while we race or not. But you know, they've always been really supportive of me, and I'm thankful for that.
That's awesome. Awesome.
My parents are actually fortunate enough they do get to come to a lot of them. My dad makes the majority of them, as well as my mother does. So it's pretty cool for sure. I enjoy having the family there. It's kind of grown into, you know, this is a family sport. You know, you get all the mom and dad and brother and sister and grandma and grandpa come out and watch your race, and that's pretty big. So you know, I think my whole side of my family is very supportive. They all enjoy it. It gives them something to do on Saturday nights and stuff to watch. So I normally have a huge following. Actually, they all get together. So I was born in Atlanta, was raised kind of in Arkansas, so I have a big following in Arkansas. And they all get together. There's like 15 to 20 of them. They'll all pile in the house and turn it on. They've got the NASCAR app so they can listen to the scanner, you know, so they'll turn on the scanner and like have it blaring on the little auxiliary speaker. So it's pretty funny. I can't imagine. I really want to see someone film that house, because it is like Arkansas rednecks watching NASCAR, you know. It's actually be hilarious to see. So I've had one of my uncles actually film it one time, and man, I was in tears after the race watching just how they're screaming at the TV
that's awesome.
and stuff. So it was cool. It really was. So I enjoy that, and I think that's kind of who keeps me going, I guess, over there.
So would Atlanta be your home track then?
Atlanta would be, yeah. I was actually born in Snellville, so I wasn't too far off, not too far off that track there. But I wasn't really much of a Georgia boy, man. I was not really into the Georgia side of stuff. I always say Arkansas is my hometown, but I have to stick to Atlanta. That's where I was born. So, but I enjoy Arkansas way better than Atlanta.
Tell us about Oklahoma. I mean, you must have obviously a big fan base there that pays attention.
I don't know. I moved out of Oklahoma whenever I was 15, and haven't spent much time there since. But I grew up in Norman, which is a suburb of Oklahoma City. So, don't really have too much to say other than that's where I'm from.
How far is that from Arkansas? That would be like...
So Norman from Fort Smith would probably be about 3 hours.
Okay. Cool.
It's interesting though to me because, you know, thinking about some other sports that I've covered, like, you know, NFL, baseball, whatever, you know, the athletes, they've done it for a long time, but I don't think anything's quite like racing in terms of, regardless of if families go to the track or don't or watch from afar, the amount of blood, sweat, and tears I think that families put into it, you know, in some capacity from a very young age makes it very different. It sort of transcends other sports, right? And like I first saw that in ARCA, you know, and just the grit and the sacrifice and all that is pretty amazing. And it must also, I would think, add an element of pride, right, to what you guys are doing and what you're shooting for.
You know, it's actually funny that you say that. So growing up, my father's been a huge role model to me. He's probably the hardest worker I've ever met. I've seen him get cut, burned, everything, just so we can go and race. You know what I mean? And I experienced the experience that he got when we won our first race together when I was younger. This past year, this is really the first year that I've been crew chief and myself in a modified. 2017 was when I had pretty much total control, took it from my father and didn't give it back. And so I went and I won my first race as my own crew chief, driving the whole deal in April of 2017. And I was like, there's nothing that beats this. And then obviously Iowa happened, so that was bigger. But really, I was like, my father said he was proud of me, which, you know, that's a big deal. For me, I've always tried to earn, you know, that type of respect from my father. Like, I'm growing up, I can do this. So being able to do that, and then throughout the year, we won a lot of races. We ran really well, and to earn that type of respect from him and the pride I got in myself for doing it, there's really nothing that can almost come close to that, you know. So it's kind of a cool thing.
That's awesome.
Yep, motorsports is interesting. Like you said, you can do football, tennis, baseball, basketball, all through high school, elementary school, middle school. But there's no school to go drive a race car. You know, you kind of have to just figure it out, really, and you kind of have to have someone that mentors you to be able to do it, and then you can just go, and you can honestly be at the highest level instantly. You know, almost. So it's interesting in that sense for sure that. There's nothing to really train you. There's nothing to really help you. It's not like any other sport at all, honestly, out there right now.
And it's interesting, and you mentioned that, and you, Christopher, talked about the man that you call after races. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, Christopher, what would it be? Deep thoughts with Christopher.
Yeah,
Stick with golf. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you golf?
I've picked it up here over the last year. So.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I'll shoot for the sky on it.
Yeah. So no, I don't know. I guess the biggest piece of advice is, you know, don't ever give up. You have those bad days where you know. I know whenever I was driving my family's car, we were struggling for a little bit, and we were literally one race away from putting a for sale sign on it and quitting, and then. You know, out of the blue sky, the right guy comes by and starts helping us out and says, "Oh, you got the right rear shock on the left rear shock," and then all of a sudden we flipped them around and we went good again. So you know, it's you know, crazy how stuff like that happens. But yeah, just don't ever give up and follow it.
What was that time like when you didn't know and you thought that maybe you were that close to having to stop?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not fun whenever you suck, and I was struggling, and my parents weren't having any fun. They were spending all this money, and we were struggling. So you know, they were over it, and at that time I didn't know anything better, and so we had the for sale sign in the trailer, and if we didn't run good that night,
you actually had it.
Yeah, if we didn't run good, we were gonna slap the sticker on it for the next night, and yeah, so had the right guy come along and tell us, you know, give us some advice and point us in the right direction, and off we went again.
So what do they say to you now about all of this and about this opportunity that you have, your folks?
You know, it's cool to be able to watch. You know, all of us have our own story, right?
Yeah.
But for my parents to be able to watch how the story has evolved and come along, it's you know, they're really proud of it, and I'm thankful that they get to watch it and be a part of it.
I have a question for the two of you. If you weren't racing in NASCAR, what would you be doing?
That's a good question. It's a great question.
If I was not racing a NASCAR, I'd be racing a sprint car.
If you weren't racing in general,
That's what I was
racing
gonna say. I'd
is
be racing
done.
a modified.
Racing's
yeah, there's
done.
nothing else. I don't know.
All right, if it couldn't be something with wheels, what would
exactly.
you do?
Oh no, that's too hard. You just can't race.
Yeah, that's, you know, you get that question a lot, and it's from, you know, the age of 6, and you know, his family was in it, so that's all we've known. You know, that's all we've known.
The only thing I can think of is so my father.
Pause. Hold, please. I'd be playing basketball because my dad was a basketball.
There you go.
Boy.
I was gonna say, come on, you were holding the basketball. I'd probably be working in the HVAC field, so that's really it.
Okay, so you'd be in another sport.
Yeah, I
you would be
forgot
doing
about
the
that.
family business.
Yep.
And how about you, Brandon?
I've got way
Hunting,
too many.
right?
No, I would not be a professional hunter. I've got way too many interests. Honestly, I drive myself crazy with them. I've often said military. I've often said construction operator. I've got like just unlimited opportunities. Welding. I enjoy everything. So that's why I've always found it interesting to see what other people say, just because.
All right, well, you've kind of dodged the question. So what would the one thing be?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you mentioned like 20.
Gosh, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It'd be really hard. I've tried every sport. I quit every sport too when I was little. Growing up, I tried everything, and I was like, nope. So I finally found racing, but I don't know. I actually probably would be driving heavy equipment trucks. So I'd probably be transporting like big excavators and stuff. That's probably what I would
Front end
honestly be
loaders.
doing.
It's very specific.
pretty
Awful
funny, right?
answer right there.
Yeah.
To your own question.
Exactly.
Right, no, I'm kidding. That was
I
awesome.
always find it interesting to see what everybody else says.
That's awesome. Well, this is really right. Were you going to add something?
No.
Oh, I thought you
Not
were
at
going to. Okay. Well, this has been awesome. I enjoyed getting to know you guys a little bit
Absolutely.
better. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck
Thank you.
in your future and this weekend and everything.